Good morning. You are watching the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati.
Rufai Oseni.
Good morning. I'm Layla Johnson-Salami. We've got a great show lined up for you over the next 3 hours, so do sit back, relax, and let's kickstart your day because the morning show begins right now.
To mark his 70th birthday celebration in Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, has said that using religion to manipulate politics will have grave consequences for the development of the country. The Catholic priest was ordained on 19 December 1976 at the Gidambako Catholic Mission in Zango Kataf local government area of Kaduna State. Revealed this during his book presentation, Broken Truths. Also in attendance were top government officials, including former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, who urged Nigerians not to lower their guard, but use the forthcoming 2023 elections to save the country's democracy. In addition, the Northern Governors Forum described Kuka as a selfless, honest, and courageous man of God who has remained devoted to his calling as a servant in the Lord's vineyard and the society at large. Joining us later on this show from Sokoto is Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, who will be telling us how the 70 years journey has been.
Moving things along, we shall be engaging the governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, who recently inaugurated the newly elected 13 council chairmen and the 171 councillors in his state amid tight security. He'll be giving us a progress report on the developmental activities in Ebonyi.
Let's catch up on news making headlines across the globe. Michael Wilson will give us an update on global business outlook, while Roto Sodiri will update on some African business activities across the continent. Aaron Akerjala will be taking us through sporting activities across the globe. We'll also review today's newspaper with Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ofedi, while Kachi Ofia will fill us in on what's trending around the world. It's going to be all that and a whole lot more today on The Morning Show. All right, welcome back to The Morning Show right here on the Rise News channel. Now time to look at news stories making headlines around the globe. Ahead of the 2023 general elections in Nigeria, the national chairman of the Northern Elders Forum, NEF, Professor Ango Abdullahi, has said that the North will not support any candidate based on clannish sentiments or person who seek to exploit the region's ethnic and religious diversity. Speaking at a book launch yesterday in Kaduna against the backdrop of next year's general election, Abdullahi said the North would only support leaders with integrity, competence, compassion, and the fear of God. He said the region currently carried scars of one of its substantially voted into office twice and therefore had learned his lesson. Okay. Leila, your thoughts on this? Ango Abdullahi saying it will not be based on religious or ethnic sentiments.
So, you know, the other day we were speaking about how when it comes to the 2023 elections, the APC in particular may see itself suffering based on insecurity in Nigeria over the past 8 years and the way in which things have progressed. Now, it does raise the question of what are people going to vote based on in the 2023 elections? Is Nigeria past that point of voting based on ethnic and religious sentiments? Well, not really based on what we've seen from previous election cycles, but of course that's what we should be looking to. The question is, how can the NEF start to change the mindset of people up north to ensure that people really look at the reasons why they vote? Because, of course, as we know, we shouldn't be voting based on religious and ethnic sentiments, but these are two very sensitive topics in Nigeria that people do still vote based on. So, in theory, yes, it would be nice, but that's just not the way the reality looks. But then again, if we're looking at the entire political landscape and the way in which things have gone over the past 8 years, we may see a shift, we may see a turn whereby people stand up and say, you know what, we're going to look at the progress and track record of the past 8 years. We're going to point out the issues, insecurity being a major one, from insecurity faced through banditry and terrorism to food insecurity, the economic hardships. Do we still need to vote based on ethnic and religious sentiments? So we do hope for enlightenment periods coming up across different regions in Nigeria at this point in time. But when it comes down to it, the reality just seems very hard to achieve right now in Nigeria's current landscape.
Okay, Professor Ango Abdullahi, Northern Elders Forum convener, chairman of the Arewa Consultative Forum, is basically stating the same. points that have been stated before now by a group of northern elders, in a previous statement ahead of the 2023 general elections. And the background has to be, or is rather, the emphasis, in the lead up to the 2023 elections on religion and ethnicity. And before now, Northern Elders and the Arewa Consultative Forum, either speaking through Professor Ango Abdullahi, who is the leader, of many of the groups, and also Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed, a major spokesperson for the group, I've made it very clear that the North will not be blackmailed. And in a famous statement, they stated out their positions, and this is more or less what Professor Ango Abdullahi had reiterated yesterday at a book launch. Simply that they will not lay emphasis on ethnicity or religious sentiments, that the 2023 general elections should not be about, the politics of proximity, where you come from, or the politics of religion, and that they're going to focus strictly on integrity, competence, compassion, and the fear of God. Now, this was controversial. Had always been controversial each time northern leaders, northern elders come up with that position. They are reminded that, look, in 2015, when the North insisted that power should come back to the North, they played the politics of ethnicity and religion. The critics of the northern elders also point out that, again, after the death of former President Umar Yar'Adua, that the North didn't respect the constitutional provision, and that this time around, because the North wants power to remain in the North, and because of the agitation in the South that power must come to the South, now the North is speaking and saying, no, this should not be about ethnicity, this should not be about religion, and the North is saying through all the fora available to it, that one, there should be competence, there should be integrity, there should be fear of God, there should be all of that. Now, the argument from the South, particularly from the Southeast, is that, well, if it is competence, if it is integrity, then there's no shortage of competent people and people of integrity in any part of the country. And on the basis of that, certain contributors to the debate in the South have continued to insist that, look, the principle of zoning, of federal character, is enshrined in the Constitution, and that everybody, every citizen, has a right, yes, to be president of Nigeria, but after it has gone round to suggest or establish the principles of equity, fairness, and justice. So on the surface of it, what Professor Ango Abdullahi has said should be the ideal. That, okay, the North will not vote on the basis of religion or ethnicity. The North is interested in change. The North has voted for someone on the basis of the politics of proximity. It has not brought the North any significant progress, and that this time around they will focus on competence. However, the subtext is, who is that candidate that the North will recommend, or that the Northern Elders Forum or the Arewa Consultative Forum will recommend? He didn't go that far, as to make that recommendation. But when people talk about competence, integrity, they should just put it in context. That there are Nigerians who also say that, yes, you can say it because it is expedient to say so now. And two, that every Nigerian must be reminded that nobody has a monopoly. No particular geographical region or geopolitical zone has a monopoly of competence or integrity or good people who fear God.
Very great point you raised, Dr. Abati. And Leila, let's dial back historically. What Professor Ango Abdullahi said, it's a good thing to say. And it's a very good thing to say. And that's the kind of Nigeria we want, where it's going to be purely based on competence. But what's the reality on ground? The reality is it's not the same. The reality is people still vote based on tribe and sentiments. And the North mostly votes based on that pattern. The South mostly votes based on that pattern. The West mostly votes based on that pattern. So all of us in this country play that politics. I'll give you three historical antecedents. I'll dial back to the first major elections in 1959. That was how we voted. In fact, we even have political parties that bear the name of certain region, Northern People's Congress. And the North voted overwhelmingly. Even with the associated groups like the Gala Union has voted overwhelmingly. And that was when they started pushing the narrative of monolithic North in 1959 elections. 20 years after, 79 elections, that was what happened. We all remember the elections. The North voted overwhelmingly for Shehu Shagari. There were outliers that still made a dent in the last elections, the likes of Aminu Kanu that won Kanu. That you could say, okay, was up against the established Northern Party. Because when Aminu Kanu had NEPO, Northern Elements Progressive Union, it was always as an antagonist against the big political party, the Northern People's Congress. There will be outliers, but collectively, they voted for a Northern candidate. There was Awolowo on that ballot. There was Nnamdi Azikiwe on that ballot, just like in 59. In 1999, it was based on who the North supported. And who the North supported in the spirit of balancing, based on what has happened in 1993. And overwhelmingly, they voted for MKO Abiola. And that's why a lot of people still feel outdone by the level of injustice. That it was not right for the PDP to have provided a candidate from the North. Because they felt in the spirit of fairness, power should be coming to the South. And that's why the likes of Olusegun Obasanjo obviously is saying that he wants a national agenda, and his national agenda has probably let power come to the South. And that's why there are indications that he might be supporting the two of the candidates from the South. So, Ango Abdullahi can say this. Yes, ideally we want that Nigeria. But are we at that Nigeria yet? No. Because over the years, I keep quoting the word of Maximilian Zeglio, telling that statesman, that said we have built Italy, but we have not built Italians. That will be a reality when we have built Nigerians. Have we built Nigerians? No. We are still split down the middle. And when it comes down to the wire, a lot of Nigerians will still look and say, okay, it's from my side. And speaking of competence, every region, like Dr. Bati said, has enough to go around in terms of competence. There's no part in this country, there's no local government, out of somewhere else, for local government, that you will not see competent people. So it's good to speak by him, and it's good to start to bring conversations of competence out there. But let's not forget, this same North were the ones pushing that power must come back to the North. It wasn't that Goodluck Jonathan didn't do a good job or a fair job, but they felt it was our turn. Just like that conversation was advanced in the PDP, that it needed to come to the North. And that's why some people still feel pain till date. 2019, the ticket went to the North. 2023 is going back to the North from the PDP. But want a Nigeria where race, tribe, will not matter, it will be competence. We want a Nigeria, like our former anthem said, that though tribal tongues may differ, in brotherhood will stand. That's the Nigeria we want. But on ground, that's not the reality. We pray for that Nigeria. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has hit out at the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Yocha Ayu, accusing him of only being interested in money. Mr. Wike claims Ayu became chairman with his help, but only desired to manage the 14 billion naira raised during the party's primary. Ayu has been under pressure to step down from a group of governors led by Wike. They want the Southerner to take the position.
I thought, as a party, as a chairman of a party, who wants to win an election, your business is to bring peace to your party. Your business is not to divide your party. Your business is not to show arrogance to your party. The Bible said we are children. Yes, the children brought you to the chairman of the party. The children brought you from the gutter. The children brought you from the what? To make you chairman, it is the children. Are you were impeached as Senate President. You were sacked by Obasanjo in his administration 2 times. Arrogance cannot take you to anywhere. Now we are saying that you don't want the party to win an election. We will help you. These children you say we are, these boys we are, they brought you from nothing. Nothing. I said from nothing. We brought you. You say you founded this party. But you left the party. You left the party in 2007. You founded a company. You left the company. People stood and brought out the company to what it is today. You have no moral right to sit up and claim that you founded that party and that company. You left to their shares. Other shareholders have come in. Yes, I don't expect that people look. You want to show integrity. You want to show a party to Nigeria that we want to take over. You must convince Nigerians that we have integrity.
Meanwhile, chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees, Senator Wali Jibrin, says no one will be chased out of the party as they were focused on winning the 2023 general elections. Speaking with the media in Kaduna, Senator Jibrin said the calls for the resignation of the national chairman of the party are not needed at this moment. He said the BOT is working with Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, to resolve the issues that ensure that the party's presidential candidate emerges victorious at the polls.
Together, we are one. All this problem is coming to an end. We are going to sit together, come out with a stand. Nobody is going to be chased out of the party now, because we are looking for 2023 and every Nigerian is looking at us. No need for us to come and be fighting. The issue of the national chairman, he has a tenure. And let's not wait until Atiku wins the election. Me, I have only 4 months to go. So what is the hurry? If we go talking about this man must leave now, it will not help PDP. We should sit down. When he becomes the president of Nigeria, all these things will be done by the party. We have processes, we have organs, we have the National Caucus, we have the BOT, we have NEC, we have the National Convention. All we are going to sit down, take a final decision. I don't want people to come and be misquoting us. We are one. Even Wike, we are going to talk to him seriously. He is a party man. He said that time without number. He had done a lot. We respect him. Please let him cool down so that we'll all go together and make sure that Atiku win this position of president of Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Mas, let me come to you on this.
Well, I always say that the purpose of setting up a political party is to win elections, to win power. Of what use is a politician who cannot win elections, or a political party that cannot mobilize people to give it power? And to that extent, every political party needs to put its house in order. Whether it is the PDP or the APC, or it is the Labour Party in Lagos State particularly, or any other political party in any part of the country. Clearly, the PDP has a major problem unifying itself. And the presidential candidate of the party, when he was giving his acceptance speech at the end of the presidential primary, said he will seek to unify communities, unify the party, unify the country, and unify the people of Nigeria. And so for PDP, that charity ought to begin at home. But the major problem that they have, which has been identified as the Wike problem, is Wike and his allies, because he's not alone, insisting that the principle of diversity in Section 7.3c of the PDP constitution must be respected. And a situation whereby most of the people occupying most of the major positions in the National Executive Committee of the party are from one part of the country, will seem to run counter to the spirit of the constitution of the party, will seem to run counter to the principle of federal character in the Nigerian constitution, and will seem to run counter to the principles of equity and justice. They go beyond that, now focusing on the chairmanship position held by Senator Yochi Ayu, that he had used his own mouth to promise that if the presidential candidate emerges from the north, then he will step down. But now he seems to have changed his mind. Add to that the fact that Wike is aggrieved that he did not get the vice presidential slot. And that problem has not gone away. The last we heard was that a meeting was held in London. And at the end of that meeting, we were told that the presidential candidate had been asked to be given 2 weeks within which he will get back to the Wike group. And look at it, within the intervening period, all these altercations. I think, as Senator Jibrin said, PDP leaders will need to focus on the major goal so that they don't use their own, ego conflicts to derail the party and lose whatever advantages that may accrue to them on the basis of so many other factors here. But Wike's latest outburst, we must say, was triggered by Senator Yochi Ayu himself, who in Kano, used the opportunity of the coming into the fold of the party of, Senator Ibrahim Shekarau, to describe some people within the party as children who were not there when the party was formed and who do not know how the party was run. And then he made it clear, of course, that he was not going anywhere. Okay, Wike has taken that up now to say he cannot be referring to some people as children because these were the same children that put him in that position of chairman. He called him all kinds of names, arrogant and ingrate and all of that. But what all this means is that there's still a lot of work to be done by the leadership of the party. And that point much has been restated by Senator Bafarawa, former governor of Sokoto State, by former governor of Plateau State, Fidelis Tabgon, and BOT member, Board of Trustee member of the PDP, Chief Ebenezer Babatope. But standing on the side of Wike very prominently is Chief Olabode George, also a member of the Board of Trustees, who was in Ikwere local government to inaugurate some projects. And it was on that occasion that Governor Wike made that statement that has just been quoted. And Senator Olabode George, Chief Olabode George, also made a point about the need for the chairman of the party to go before the elections. But in any case, the party has to resolve its problems, particularly so that the party can go to the battlefront as one united front, especially now that Wike made it clear that what Senator Yochi Ayu wants to do is to make the party lose. And some of them will help the party to lose the election. That's not a sign of unity, that's a sign of disunity, and it is counterproductive. But of course, political parties also have the right to lose if they want to lose. It's all part of politics.
Dana?
It's interesting because it seems as though the internal wranglings just continue to intensify and intensify. And one would ask why, when so-called efforts have been made to try and pacify the situation over the past few months. But here's the thing, just like Dr. Abati said, all it does is weaken chances when it comes to the polls. And in order for you to approach the polls and be successful, if that's what you're aiming for, you do have to have some level of unity within your party, which right now the PDP clearly does not have. There are a number of aggrieved members, not just Governor Wike, which is clear, he has allies. There are a number of aggrieved members, and it's a question of how is this going to end? The pressure on Ayu, how is that going to end as well? The back and forth, the going back on words, what is the end goal of all of this? It's not looking good for the the PDP. I wonder what the strategy is going to be in terms of trying to bring some sort of unity and harmony within its political members. But we have to wait and see. Does this surprise me? No. Is it surprising that the Board of Trustees chairman has stepped in? No, it's not as well. We just have to wait and see how this goes. But it does seem as though the situation continues to intensify, and it questions the question of why is then raised, because you should be trying to pacify this situation. The PDP should be looking for solutions to this. We've heard of several efforts from London to here to there, but it continues. So I'm not too sure here, Rufai.
I mean, this PDP problem that started like a little lump is fast becoming a metastasizing cancer as we speak today. It's obvious that this Wike problem will be a problem that might make or mar PDP's chances. And they've got a choice. We want Wike on board because of what it carries, the power it wields in the party, or we want to do without him. In the coming days, they will have to make that decision, because this problem definitely is not going away. And somebody will have thought that in the 2 weeks interregnum that was asked for by the Atiku camp, it will have been a point to cease fire when the conversations and the negotiations will go on. But obviously, Wike isn't ceasing fire. So it's a big problem. The question we don't know is what stage is the cancer now? Because it's already from a lump, it's not a full-blown cancer. I'm sure the PDP's biopsy at a point missed it. But it's a full-blown cancer. What stage is it now? We don't know. What damage is it creating now? We don't know. What effect will it have on the PDP's chances? We do not know. But it's a full-blown cancer to the extent that he's become more than a beautiful bride now, because he's talking to everybody. He's talked to Peter Obi, he's talked to APC. Yeah, agreement might not have been reached. Obasanjo is in the frame of things. Conversations are going on. But the PDP might have to do a surgery or might have to go the way of chemo. I don't know. That's all on news headlines. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Michael Wilson and Rhodes to give us updates on global and African business. Stay with us.